Hello and welcome to my video on the diaspora for our MDS class. The objective of this video is to share my own personal experiences of living in the diaspora and to connect my experiences with how four scholars have applied concepts in their own work. The definition of diaspora has broadened over time from the work of Walker Corner, and I quote, "that segment of people living outside the homeland," end of quote, to Saffron 1991, who expanded on the definition to be applied to expatriate minority communities whose members share the following characteristics. 1. They or their ancestors have been dispersed from a specific origin center to two or more peripheral or foreign regions. 2. They retain a collective memory, vision, or myth about the original homeland, its physical location, history, and achievements. 3. They believe that they are not and perhaps cannot be fully accepted by the host society and therefore feel partly alienated and insulated from it. 4. They regard the ancestral homeland as the true ideal home and the place to which they or their descendants would or should eventually return when conditions are appropriate. 5. They believe that they should collectively be committed to the maintenance or restoration of the original homeland and to its safety and prosperity. And 6. They continue to relate personally or vicariously to that homeland in one way or another, and the ethno-communal consciousness and solidarity are importantly defined by the existence of such a relationship. End of quote. When I first arrived in Canada in 2003, these two definitions would have been applicable to my situation. I belong to the St. Lucian diaspora, and I fitted in all of the 6 categories defined by Saffron. I feel that this definition even encompassed my extended diaspora, the Indian diaspora where my grandparents came from before arriving in St. Lucia. As part of my ancestral identity lies in the motherland of India, where I also hope to eventually return. I also identify with my Caribbean diaspora, which connects me to a greater geographical region, which I can relate to at an ethno-communal consciousness and solidarity. Growing up in St. Lucia, a small Caribbean island, we from the islands were always encouraged to embrace the entire Caribbean as one, which means that we automatically belong to the Caribbean, no matter where we live. When I think of the Caribbean diaspora, no matter what island we come from, we all celebrate the iconic achievements of persons like Bob Marley and Usain Bolt. As a new immigrant, I can also relate 100% to the published experiences of writers from the Jewish community, as written in Billy Stalker's Tema. During the interwar, the writers used language and maternal imagery to lament the loss of the motherland with the hope of eventual return, and used maternal imagery and language to emphasize the complex array of ambivalent feelings raised by the process of migration and resettlement, and also conveying New World inadequacies. I myself have written such poetic, heart-wrenching prose, which has also given voice to hundreds of others across the globe on social media who express similar sentiments about their homelands. Back then, in 2003, as a new immigrant, I only saw the inadequacies of Canada and penned endless prose on the beauty of my homeland. I asked similar questions raised in Bellstock's theme. Why had I abandoned my beloved mother who had nurtured me and made me who I was? What exactly had I gained by coming to Canada? Would Canada prove to be the promised land, or had I in fact left it behind? Back then, as a rising professional in my country, I lamented on my losses, failing to immediately see opportunities which were presented to me right here in Canada. I returned home after 7 years, the eventual return, and after 6 weeks on the island, I realized that something had shifted internally. I could not adjust to the slow pace of life, the lack of what I now call customer service experience, and the general island time concept. It left me frustrated time and time again, and to add to the frustration was the scorching heat that left me asleep at noon. Although still memorized by the beauty of my homeland and the people, I realized that I had integrated into the Canadian society and had adopted new processes and a lifestyle which was no longer compatible to the one that I left behind. Back in Canada, I found myself dwelling less on the memories of home, but rather forging my way to embrace Canada and to make a contribution towards the diaspora. This leads me to talk about the work of Rebecca 2015, who challenges the thinking of the diaspora as a bonded group and suggests that it may be more fruitful and certainly more precise to speak of diaspora stances, projects, claims, practices, and so on. In so doing, we can, I quote, bring the struggles themselves into focus without presupposing that they will eventuate in bonded groups. This approach resonates with me as it presents a wider framework in looking at the definition of diaspora, providing options for persons in the diaspora to choose how they want to get involved. The diaspora presents an opportunity for increased consciousness and linkages between different worlds. After 17 years of living in Canada and being a part of 3 diasporas, I understand the complexities of assimilation and integration into my host country, Canada. I can also see how time and experiences can shift our thinking from a simplistic view of migration to embracing the complexities of transnationalism within the diaspora. I have often confronted myself with the questions of how can I maintain linkages to my culture and people and also contribute to the development of the island. I associate with words like diasporic citizenship, diasporic consciousness, diasporic identity, diasporic imagination, diasporic nationalism, diasporic networks, diasporic culture, diasporic religion, and even the diasporic self. Brubaker's approach opens the door, which allows me to adopt my own stance and levels of engagement in the diaspora. I have become members of associations, supported fundraising causes, provided remittances, promoted St. Lucia and the Caribbean to Canada, and developed strong ties to the people of India. Right now, I am part of a diasporic network which is working on an agricultural and wellness village in St. Lucia to improve the quality of life for the people on the island, which should eventually spill into the Caribbean region. In conclusion, I believe that as the diaspora continues to grow exponentially, there will be less clear exclusive lines to mark its definition. Brown 1998 shows the complexity of diasporas in the case study with the Black Liverpudlians, concluding that even though diasporas are formed through processes that are themselves global in scope, these processes and the effects are not everywhere localized, gendered, and racialized in the same way. Thank you for listening. I hope that you enjoyed this video.